In 2016, the aerospace manufacturer FACC lost 42 million euros to a heist, but no alarms tripped and no firewalls were breached. The company's massive digital fortress remained completely intact. The attackers didn't write a single line of code to break into the network. Instead, they sent a single, perfectly crafted email to a mid-level finance employee. The most sophisticated software in a network cannot prevent a breach if an authorized user is manipulated into granting access. We tend to picture hackers as lone figures, furiously typing code to force their way through a digital wall. The statistical reality is much simpler. 91% of all cyber attacks begin with a phishing email. This relies on social engineering. It's the practice of convincing an authorized insider to willingly open the digital vault, bypassing the technical defenses entirely. This diagram shows the formal architecture of a modern cyber heist. It breaks down into a specific chronological anatomy: the bait, the hook, and the catch. Attackers don't even need to build these systems from scratch. They can simply rent sophisticated phishing-as-a-service tools online to scale these operations globally. A company can invest billions of dollars in state-of-the-art firewalls, but all of that infrastructure is neutralized if an attacker can manipulate an employee into bypassing it for them. The bait phase requires meticulous reconnaissance. In the FAC heist, attackers spent weeks studying the CEO's specific writing quirks and habits to forge an email that sounded exactly like him. They rely heavily on the psychological principle of authority. By posing as high-ranking executives, attackers trigger instinctive obedience from lower-level employees who are conditioned to follow orders. They combine this with scarcity, usually in the form of extreme time pressure. A message claiming an urgent confidential acquisition forces the victim to act immediately, preventing them from taking the time to verify the request. These psychological triggers overwhelm the brain's critical thinking centers. The victim is manipulated into compliance before the technical phase of the attack even begins. Once the target takes the bait, they encounter the hook. Attackers use specific technical tools to make fraudulent web destinations look identical to legitimate corporate portals. One common method is the IDN homograph attack. Attackers register a web address, but substitute foreign Unicode characters, like swapping a standard Latin A for a Cyrillic A, to create a perfectly forged URL. Because the attacker legally owns this lookalike domain, they can obtain legitimate SSL security certificates for it. This means the standard padlock icon in your browser address bar appears exactly as it should. It confirms the connection is secure, but it doesn't guarantee the site is honest. In a standard email link, these distinct characters look identical. The brain's pattern recognition prioritizes the familiar brand name over microscopic details of the Unicode string. The optical illusion succeeds precisely because it takes our learned reliance on digital security symbols, like the padlock, and turns it against us. Another growing hook tactic is quishing, or QR code phishing. By hiding the malicious link inside an image of a QR code, attackers easily bypass corporate email filters designed to scan plain text. The email prompts the victim to scan the code with their smartphone. Doing this tricks the user into physically moving the attack off the secure corporate network. The malicious link opens on a personal mobile device, which lacks the robust firewalls and threat detection software protecting the company laptop. Quishing exploits this exact hardware gap. It routes the target away from heavily fortified enterprise defenses and straight into a vulnerable personal environment. Even if an attacker captures your password, most people assume multi-factor authentication, like a push notification to your phone, will stop the login. Attackers use an adversary-in-the-middle attack, setting up a silent proxy server between the victim and the corporate login page. You type your password and approve the real MFA prompt. The corporate server generates a session token cookie, but the proxy intercepts and duplicates it. Because the victim willingly approved the login, the system registers a completely legitimate entry. The attacker easily walks away with a cloned token, granting them full access, and absolutely zero alarm sound. The consequences are severe. After the FACC heist, the CEO and CFO were both fired. Tens of millions of euros were permanently lost, all because the corporate systems believed they were processing a fully authorized request. Stopping this requires specific technical upgrades, like FIDO2 passkeys. These cryptographic keys bind directly to a specific domain, neutralizing proxy attacks because the browser automatically refuses to authenticate a mismatched lookalike site. But the ultimate defense is behavioral. If a digital request creates sudden urgency or demands extreme secrecy, the target must slow down and verify the request through a completely independent channel, like a phone call. Advanced technology secures the connection, but personal verification remains the only defense that an attacker cannot replicate.